a couple of years ago. He's not a long hitter. Duffner's not a long hitter. Hideki got his first career PGA Tour win in 2014. And you see some guys pop up year after year that really don't have distance on their side. So while you might look at the scorecard and go, it's a 7,400-yard course, it is a par 72. It does play a little bit downhill off the tees like we talked about. And because the rough is thick, it's really a premium accuracy. I'd rather have a guy hitting – it's one of those rare weeks. Usually I'd rather have a guy hitting wedge from the rough as compared to an 8-iron from the fairway. But this week I don't think that's the case. I think you want guys who are hitting from these pristine fairways as compared to this rough that you can hardly dig it out of, even with a 9-iron or a wedge. So I'm leaning more towards guys who we know are going to be playing from the fairways and who can take advantage of their opportunities.
Let me ask you a question. I'm reading through a few things here, and one of the guys I'm reading his breakdown here says, looking through past winners, one stat that stood out amongst the successful players has been proximity to the hole. Exactly what the hell does that mean? Of course, proximity to the hole is important, but what are they actually measuring with that?
Proximity to the hole on approaches, and you can actually break that down specifically by yardage ranges. This week, 150 to 175 and 175 to 200. In my mind, will be extremely important because we have so many par fours that are in that 450 to 480 range. You're going to have a lot of guys that have those approaches with more of those mid to long irons as compared to a lot of times where you've got wedges in. So proximity
for a guy that doesn't study the advanced metrics, reading a line like successful players have had good proximity to the hole, it's like saying the successful players had a really good job of keeping a low score. Like, well, duh.
Right. Specifically on approach shots is where they're referring to proximity. But I can see why that would be a little confusing to you. Like, no shit. This low score. Thanks for the insight.
It's like it's like literally every sports interview with a coach after a game. I love it. Well, they went out there and scored more points than we did. Like, I love it. Cracks me up. So one of the things I'm also reading here is that you guys kind of touched on that, but it looks like, and I'm trying to find a good weather predictor, but I'd probably just go to like AccuWeather or something. But it looks like they're saying there's going to be a lot of wet weather, possibly some pretty hefty rain during the opening tee times Thursday. It doesn't really say that they expect a delayed or late start, but then clearing up the rest of Thursday, but coming back again Friday afternoon and then again on Sunday. So this this group of people is suggesting perhaps look at people who play Thursday afternoon and then come back and play Friday morning.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Things tend to calm down after a storm, after some rainfall too. So maybe Thursday PM might be a little more calm, and then Friday morning might be a little more calm, and some storms rolling through in the afternoon. It's not super often that I stack waves, but if the weather is that specifically rough in Thursday morning, Friday afternoon, and you want guys making the cut, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, but
I was going to say, it's a really good strategy, especially if you're playing the daily showdowns.
Yeah, that's true too. So I think stacking the Friday morning guys on daily showdowns will be big. I don't know. I think weather in the afternoon can always be a little more volatile, especially because it's farther away from when we're forecasting it. But Friday morning could be a huge time to stack.
That's the problem too. With you're looking at weather out ahead so far, even a day. We all know weather changes so fast. That storm could slow down, it could speed up. We just don't know.
The other problem is not that we want to talk about weather for 15 minutes, but when you have thunderstorms coming through, those guys are going to get stormed off the course in the morning. So they're not playing through lightning storms. So if they get stormed off the course and they actually end up getting back out there in the early afternoon, the advantage you thought you had with the PM wave isn't really there because they're teeing off at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock trying to get as many holes as they can in. So I don't know. That's why I think that's kind of a dicey thing to do weather stacks unless you have very definitive forecasts saying that the morning's going to be crappy, the afternoon's going to be clear, and then vice versa on Friday. I like doing it in the British Open because the weather can change in a heartbeat over there. If you get the right stack in the British Open, I mean, things can play like 5 shots different in the morning and the afternoon and vice versa. So
yeah,
that has to be to it.
It's kind of like when Chris and I talk about DFS baseball is, I definitely look at batter versus pitcher, or, what you would say course history, right? It's not a defining thing, but definitely if you're like teeter-tottering between the guy at 88 and the guy at 87, and the guy at 88 is playing in the afternoon when you know it's not going to rain, or at least you think it's not going to rain, it'll push the needle to make a decision for you when you've got a toss-up.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I like to do it occasionally because if you do hit on that stack and you have 6 guys in the PM on Thursday and the morning ends up playing through all the rain and the winds, and then things calm down and that guy gets to go out in the calm, good weather on Thursday afternoon and then come right back Friday morning and play before the storms come through, it can be a huge edge, certainly. It's just so hard to predict. I mean, the weather's as volatile as DFS golf in general.
Indeed. So just looking through, how I do, just skim through the names and take a peek. I'm feeling like this is really a nice tournament to kind of do that middle of the range and not do the stars and scrubs. That's just kind of my first impression here. This is kind of a light field and a lot of players are going to make the cut, right? So I'm not as worried about miscuts as normal.
Yeah, it's. I should have mentioned that during the course description, but it is an invitation-only field, much like the Augusta National for the Masters. So you're going to have less players in the field, which means a higher percentage of players making the cut. So one line of thinking with that is you can get a little bit more risky with the guys that you like, not worry as much about if somebody misses the cut because it's not as likely to happen. There's also going to be MDF. So if your guy makes it through, but he's like just through the cut line on the number, you got to be wary of the Saturday thing. If you're doing weekend only, that's pretty important too. But no, I get where you're coming from. I think you can get a little more risky with it, but overall, I mean, find your quality plays based on the stats that you're looking at and go with what you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
What name stood out to you, Danger?
Well, I'm just starting to kind of look through the the price values here. I don't know. Looking through this, our boy Keegan Bradley, kind of exciting to me at 76, and Luke List after a nice was it tied for 6? He did at the PGA at 76. So there's a couple of really nice names in that high 7,000 range. So I feel like I don't have to dip super low, and I'm going to be able to get a kind of a good mix of name brand players.
Well, if we're talking about a balanced lineup and then guys who stand out for their price point, Justin Thomas is $9,300. He's below Tony Finau and Jordan Spieth, who has been, for the most part, awful all year, unless he putts absolutely lights out. Do you worry about the injury? I mean, the guy withdrew from the freaking PGA Championship. You have to be somewhat concerned. But he's $9,300, and when that guy plays, he scores, and he's finished top 10 the last 2 years at the Memorial.
Sure.
So I don't know. In my mind, this week, like I would guess he's testing it out to see if he wants to give it a go in a couple of weeks for the U.S. Open, because it's only 2 weeks away. We've only got the Canadian next week, and then we're in the U.S. Open. So I think this is almost like Vegas trying to lure you into a bet that looks too good. Like, he's $9,300 and he's a top 5 player in the world. How do you pass that up? But he's also coming off an injury, and I think this is a week where he's cautious.
I feel like that's not a great cash play, but definitely a GPP run if you're going to make a couple of lineups.
I think if you're making more than a couple, if you're making 20 lineups, you can put him in 3 of them and probably be overweight in the field, because I'd be shocked if he was more than 10% owned.
Sure. I like it. Why isn't Dominican Sue in the roster this week? What's up with that?
What?
Yeah. 6,400.
Tell me where you look at. What's
6,400. Yeah.
Norman John? What are you talking about?
No, and Dominican Sue. 6,400 on DraftKings. Currently
Justin?
number 2 in the World Golf Amateur ranking. That's impressive. That's a big man out there swinging a club. Just saying.
Justin Sue?
Sure, I guess. Mine was more exciting.
Yeah, semantics,
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dominic and Sue at 320 pounds is going to be out there. Heaviest golfer ever, even heavier than John Daly.
I love it. Well, we'll talk to him when we get down in the values, because he is a guy that actually popped up. So, Mr. Sue, but I only see last names. So
he popped up because you said, "Oh, he used to play for the Lions."
Yeah.
Is that why he popped up? Or
no, he's number 2 in the World Golf Amateur rankings. I like to look at these amateur guys coming out and playing. Doesn't mean I put money on them.
How did Doug Gim work out last week?
Yeah, not great. Why did you have to rub that in?
I mean, dude, I got 2 of 6 through the cut in our league last week, so I can't talk any shit at all.
Right. I did take second. Unfortunately, our good friend Chris Emmerich isn't here to gloat over another victory for himself.
Did you say unfortunately about that?
Yes, unfortunately.
I disagree. That is fortunate that he's not here. Look, I'm like Brooks Koepka, man. I come for the majors and that's it, all right?
That's right. True story.
Come listen in 2 weeks and you'll be in good shape.
Yeah. I dig it. All right, well, let's get into it, shall we? The nitty-gritty. Let's get into the love of it all. Oh, my computer's dying. I should fix that since I'm the one broadcasting, huh?
That might be important.
You might want to plug that in.
Yeah, it just dinged at me. I was like, hey, dude, I'm dying over here.
Let's start with 10K and above, shall we?
Yeah, let me plug in while you go ahead and tell me about the top 3 guys. Let's talk about them.
Why don't we start with top 5 since that's 10K and above?
Yeah, let's do it.
I don't know if I like any of these guys for those price points.
I mean, you could see Ricky with his course history and bouncing back from last week at lower ownership as being a good play.
Yeah, I did it. We're plugged in. Sorry.
Plug it in.
I made it.
I actually like Tiger a lot this week. I think
Tiger
he's
Wood,
a little
y'all.
pissed off. But what's that?
Tiger Wood, y'all. Tiger Wood, y'all.
Tiger Woods, y'all. I think he's going to be a little pissed about his PGA Championship performance, and this course obviously fits him well. He's a course horse here, Bay Hill, at the Bridgestone. Like he's got his game in shape for the most part this year. I think he's going to bounce back, and I don't think he'll be super high owned because I think a lot of people are going to think like you did, Danger, where you go, it sets up like a nice balanced week where you want some of these guys in the 9K range and the 8K range, and you want some guys that are highly likely to make the cut. I think Tiger's going to win this week, so he's the first guy I like in the 10K and up range.
All right, I've locked him in. Done. What's next?
Do it. I also like Patrick Cantlay. I haven't seen enough out of Justin Rose to throw him in my lineups with the number.
I picked him twice this year, Adam. Guess which 2 weeks that was?
Masters and PGA.
The both times he missed the damn cut. That would be.
He made the cut at the PGA. What, Masters and the Players? Then where else did he miss the cut?
One of the other ones. I've picked him twice this year, and it's the 2 of the 11 cuts that he missed.
He's burned you. You're done with him, right?
I'm done with him. I've written him off.
Actually, I like Justin Rose a lot for the British Open as far as how that course sets up, but this is not the British Open. I will never be shocked if he pops up and plays well, but he's just not a guy I can get behind this week, and Ricky's going to be my fade of the week.
Well, Justin Rose, I see, has 7 top 10s, including a win here.
He does. He actually won the year that Ricky was like on the doorstep trying to get his first career victory. And Justin Rose said, no, thank you. I think he shot like a 65 on Sunday or something. So I don't hate Justin Rose overall. He's got great course history, but I just don't think his game's quite there yet. I don't know if it's the equipment change or what the deal is, but I would much rather take Tiger just above him or Cantlay a couple spots below him, who finished 4th last year. And I think Cantlay's game has been very solid, very consistent. He's a guy I'd be very confident in at his price point, putting into a cash lineup.
So if you take ownership into consideration, Cantlay is projected at 19%.
Yeah.
Tiger is projected at 13%.
What about Rosie, Fowler, and Rory, who we didn't even talk about?
Rory's at 6.
Can't lay on the Fantasy Alarm stat page. Is 26.93%. But I don't know what they look at.